We all just want to be loved the way that we see in movies. We go on dating apps and swap left and right all the time trying to find that one special person that we want to love us just like what we see in the movies. I met this guy on Tinder, and he was not the most attractive guy, but I thought I could learn to really care for him. I thought he was a real catch because he had just moved down here from Boston, and I just could not believe a guy from so far away decided to swipe right on me. This guy must have been at least 5 or 7 years my senior. We started talking almost every day, and he was so sweet. He told me I was beautiful all the time and how he wishes that I would be his girlfriend. I'm in my late teens, early 20s, and quite naive. I thought this man was too good to be true and just the perfect person for me. We decided to meet up at a local bar in Cookeville, but I knew better than to meet him for the first time by myself. I asked my best friend to go with me so that I was not meeting a complete stranger by myself. We met up at around 8 p.m. on a Friday night, and we stayed and talked until about 11 p.m. We had a good time talking about everything under the sun. I could not believe how lucky I was finding such a great guy, and the Boston accent was just to die for. I was falling in love at that very moment just listening to him talk. We both decided that we had spent enough time talking and that we were tired, so we went our separate ways with plans to hang out again. We continued to text on and off for the next week or so, and he asked me to come up to his house in Monterey. I immediately said yes and made plans to drive up there on my day off, and we were just going to watch movies and eat junk food and just relax. I cringe now just thinking of how stupid I was to think, after meeting this guy one time, that I knew him enough to hang out alone with him. I showed up at his house and we went to his bedroom to watch movies and was just enjoying being in each other's company. We started eating the junk food and just laying there, just enjoying each other's company. He started rubbing my back, which I did not really care that he was doing that because it felt good after working all week. He then started to rub his hands all over me and touching me inappropriately. I tried to push his hands off and tell him to stop, but as soon as I did that, he flipped me over on my back and pinned my hands above my head. I started kicking and screaming and doing anything to try and get him off me, which wasn't going to be an easy task. He was 6'2" and at least 300 pounds. The only thing that saved me was he let go of my hands long enough to start taking his shirt off, which gave me the opportunity to reach for my keys and stick them in my fist and swing at anything I could hit. I made contact on his face and done some damage, and when he fell back holding his face, I pushed him off and ran as fast as I could. I left everything that I had taken there and got into my car and drove off. I drove and drove and drove until I made it far enough that I knew he could not follow me because he did not have a car at his house. I pulled into a Dollar General store in the middle of nowhere and just sat in my car and cried for what felt like hours. Here I was thinking that this guy cared about me and wanted to treat me good, when in all actuality he just wanted to use me for sex. And when I resisted, he decided to try and force me to do it. I called my best friend, and she immediately knew something was wrong because I told her when I was going up there that if I called, then to know that something was very wrong. So I went to her house, and I could barely talk because I kept crying. But when I finally was able to calm down enough to tell her, all she done was hold me tight and let me cry. But then she told me that I needed to tell my parents what had happened. I did not want to tell my parents because I lied to them and said we were just going to the movies and going out to eat. I did not tell them I was going to his house. I still blame myself to this day for being dumb enough to go by myself to a guy's house that I barely knew. I just wish I could tell everybody the story so that no other girl has to go through what I did.